Hello and welcome. Tuesday noon. Here we go again. And Marianne and I decided last week that we're going to make May movie month. And the first movie is My Octopus Teacher, which was really a movie that captured me. And there were a few scenes in there that just absolutely uh, touched me deeply. And like he's free diving, he's not wearing a suit, he's not wearing a tank, so he has to come back up for air, so to speak. And the choice that he made was he didn't want to have anything between him and the environment. Plus, diving in a kelp forest, a tank is not really that advantageous because they can get caught between his body and the tank, and then, needing to untangle himself. So he felt it was easier to just dive and hold his breath. And he learned how to hold his breath a lot longer over the period. But the image that absolutely touched me was when he was still underwater, but his snorkel being above water so he could breathe. And he was cradling the octopus. And it was funny for me. And I said, where does this idea is, oh, the octopus being able to suck to your body and it's slimy and it's I became aware of that notion, that I had that conclusion, and really let it go. And I think that image also, where he's just sitting there and holding it, and the octopus is just also very quietly sitting there. They've become friends over the past 9 months or whatsoever. And just them being there, that touched me so, so deeply. What was your favorite scene in the movie?
Oh, only one?
Eh, pick one.
Yeah. When you speak about that image, when that crawling and that being together and looking in each other's eyes also, but I jump more in the beginning, the first touch, the first really physical contact of the octopus and his hand, his finger as
Mm-hmm.
touching there. And I know for me, it was the same, that idea of those projections and judgments already of that slimy and that pulling sense of sucking, whatever it was. And it was so beautiful. I thought, it's not possible to stay with those judgments.
Mm-hmm.
It was so easy and easily to let them go because of energy
And
there
the
was there,
gentleness.
really, and the kindness,
Mm-hmm.
gentle, kind, respect,
Mm-hmm.
respect also from the two and
Both,
between
yes.
them. It's amazing. And what me also was the superpowers, I'm gonna call it like this, the superpowers of the octopus, as knowing what, who, when, why, to be in every moment where it moved through, as though
Yeah.
the change, the change, the animal itself with his body, her body, can be and choosing from being really present
Mm-hmm.
with the environment, and from that presence I took out really, yes, but hey, also when he speaks about that, he really chose to not wearing whatever suit and really going without barriers, being with the environment. All those things were really, yeah, but how much or how many barriers we even use with our clothes, with our words, with whatever suits of judgment and justifications and whatever we are wearing. And at the same time, becoming even more aware where we living from the idea being present with the environment, which mostly includes that we are only present with the most prominent things there in the environment,
Yeah,
as though we aren't aware of our subtle judgment,
the
of
subtle
our
stuff. Yeah,
subtle, all those suits we are wearing there, the refined things. And when he, in a certain time in the documentary, he speaks about that as though, wow, I am for so long already day in, day out coming here. But even now, after so many days, it's for the first time I really can see what variety there is here. And that catched me like, oh yeah, but how often do we that? Leaving thinking that we are present, but is it truly present?
yeah, that's a good question. How present are we willing to be?
Yeah,
And in a way, it's for me through. It's almost like a line through the movie how he becomes more and more one with his environment,
yeah,
noticing the subtleties. He talks about, you know, how amazed he was going tracking with the San people in the Kalahari and how to learn to track the octopus in the kelp forest. What are the signs I have to look for? And how do I interpret the signs? That whole learning curve. And are we willing to have our own learning curve? And I'm not meaning that we need to learn how to track, but what subtleties are we willing to become aware of?
yeah. Yeah, that those subtleties, because there are so many in every way,
Yep,
in the way we act, but also in the way we are willing and not willing be present with in the environment, as though if we would be present, and it's not about tracking in this way, but present and noticing them, so we can receiving so much more of what we perceive, because that tracking isn't that also about perceiving what yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. And what just crossed my mind is um, how much are we not willing to track in a really rough sense now, meaning becoming aware of subtleties of other people in our environment.
Mm, mm-hmm.
How
Yeah,
present are we? How much are we willing to notice?
yeah. And what catch me in this, what you are saying, is also it escaped me already. It's so refined that it escaped me already. Oh, it it was about those subtleties as yeah, the perceiving. We perceive so much more But because we aren't willing to be aware of also all those judgment and justifications and definitions and whatever we put in between, that we restrict our perceivings
Yeah.
so much. So we have the need to conclude already, still from that idea, I am present, I am conscious, I am going with what I perceive, but not really present with the true perceiving.
Yeah. It's so much that, watching that movie, how much can we learn for ourselves in our environment? Not even talking about a quote unquote foreign environment, as the kelp forest and being underwater was for the person who was spending a year with the octopus. But how much are we willing? And I remember that it was actually watching that movie, My Octopus Teacher, that really gave me the idea of how much can we learn from the earth? How much can the earth be a teacher for us?
Yeah. And that is so true, Karina. That is so true that we can learn a lot. And even though, as you can see during all the time of the film, the changes octopus go
Mhm.
through in a second, in a nanosecond, he can change the form of his body in the way it moves or sits, even colors, even the texture. It
Yeah.
changes all around. And that gave me a true, clear idea of where we do that to fitting in, but more from we fit in so we can hide ourselves. We don't need to be present with the things. So I can stay with whatever judgment I have. I can stay with the conclusion. I can stay, so I can continue in the right and the wrongness and whatever. And
Yeah.
the changes the octopus goes through comes really from knowing and being present in respect and for itself, in acknowledgement, in from the kindness, from all those aspects where we have that same capacity. We all have, we human beings, we also have, but we interpret it completely different, as though we started to put on suits, to put on changes, as though, yeah, how much do we see people? I live with someone who is really good in it. He can read the persons in a nanosecond, and he knows, oh, that's required with this person, this is required with this person, but from the judgment of what he thinks they require of him. So he puts
Mhm.
on the changes to match already the
Yeah.
conclusion, and not from the kindness towards himself, not from the respect towards himself, not from the acknowledgement of the awareness he is. You know, those two opposite worlds are catching me there.
Yeah. And it's also fascinating to watch how the octopus was not on autopilot. We talk so much about, oh, animals are doing instinctual things. Uh, Maybe some of it is instinctual, but what he observed and what he pulled out in the movie was that the octopus was learning how to utilize the environment, for instance, to keep self safe from the predators that
Yeah,
were also in that environment, how to
yeah,
outsmart those predators. And
wow,
how much are we willing to really not to see other people necessarily as predators, but how much are we willing to learn? How can we maneuver and still be who we are while the others are around us?
Yeah, that's an interesting thing you are mentioning here, and you called it really, yeah, outsmarting, or what did you call it? Outsmarting,
Yeah,
because it was something in that energy that was wow, yeah, that's about, and that's where we think we are smart, but where we act the really truly stupid.
stupid. Yeah.
And that's completely different than what you are mentioning. Can you expand a little about with this energy of outsmarting?
Yeah, I mean there is sharks that actually, and that was something that also flabbergasted me, is this they have an intense smell in the water about the octopus.
Yeah.
And so
Mm.
they are hunting the octopus. They don't see the octopus, but they go by smell. They follow the
Yeah.
smell track. And so the octopus is going through kelp and then wrapping itself in the leaves of kelp to protect self. So it's in using the environment. It's with another fish, not the shark, or even maybe the shark. I may be mixing things up, but it's picking up shells and rocks and making itself into a ball that uh, the attacker can't really get through to the octopus because it has to go through that outer layer that the octopus created by using the natural environment and what's available in there. So how can we learn to be ourselves while also being present in the environment that we're in? And how
And
do we,
willing to change form and
yeah.
appearance also, without losing ourselves, without denying ourselves,
Yeah.
but really from the respect and acknowledgement of who we are. Yeah.
Mhm. And
Yeah.
how adaptable we are,
Yeah.
so it's really that, uh, and seeing what he showed in the movie so much was how the animal is learning and how it is remembering what it learned. I mean,
Yeah.
octopuses are old from a species perspective.
Yeah. Yeah.
And on the other hand, their lifespan is a little bit over a year.
Yeah.
They grow up, they're in the full grown about a year, then they mate, and then they die in giving birth to the young
Yeah.
ones.
Yeah.
And,
And
and
can
they're
I say something within, because it came in
Mhm.
of, oh, what do I have today? It's so clear, and then it goes. But it was about what you were saying in adapting and, oh, remembering, as though, I don't know if you remember that scene. Uh, they became really friends already, and there was that trust and that
Mhm.
connection, and then at a sudden point his camera falls, as
Oh yeah.
though the octopus is yeah, sustaining him, is going away. And then it took him nearly a week
To reconnect.
to reconnect, but he did the same thing, was the same thing, being patient, being in respect of the animal, but at the same time, as though the shark goes with the smell to look for, could it be that was something for me that came? So, man, we have the man and the animal, but he as man, with his energy, he was also letting go, knowing I'm still here, I'm still trustable, I'm still vulnerable, I'm still
Yeah.
that sending out, and that the octopus that receive. And that's not a smell, but in a way it is a smell, the smell of the energy of trust,
Yeah.
because can be that trust and vulnerability and all and the gratitude has a smell. We don't know, we never experienced or
Yeah.
allowed ourselves to experience that. But isn't it's those energies, and then seeing again the octopus coming back and saying, okay, okay, I remember you. And it is, and they go on with where they
Left
stopped
off.
a
Yeah.
week before. That was also an amazing moment. I saw, wow, it is. So where do we also allow ourselves, or we don't allow ourselves to remember the trust, the vulnerability, the gratitude we are,
Yeah.
to
And
go.
what you are saying, what that brings up, it actually takes me to the relative to the beginning of the movie, where the octopus is willing to explore something new.
Mm-hmm.
And the the movie maker is just putting his hand out, not touching,
Yeah,
but just putting his hand out towards the animal and leaving it there and being quiet. And then the animal responding and taking an arm and just gently feeling
yeah,
the hand and going onto the hand and then the arm and even the face, exploring the other person.
yeah,
And
yeah. That
how
was for
much are we
me.
willing to explore? Oh, I know this is so, and therefore that nothing else
But
exists.
even exploring, Karina, what catched me in that exploring was that vulnerability, was that trust
Yeah,
already, was that respect. There was no judgment, only exploring. What
yeah.
is this?
But it
So
was,
where when we explore, aren't we exploring already with judgment, with projections, with conclusions, and we go explore if those matches?
okay, but how many people are not even willing to explore?
Yeah, but isn't that the same? Those two, what you mentioned, not willing to explore, but at the same time, those who are willing to explore, how much of them are
Yeah,
not truly willing exploring because of it's exploring to
through
go
the mind.
towards, yeah,
Yeah,
to go towards the judgment and the conclusions and the expectations and whatever, to see if it is matching
yeah.
those. Yeah,
And
yeah.
in all honesty, I think the movie was made because of the octopus's willingness to explore. And I'm assuming that that octopus wasn't the only one in that area,
Hmm.
but that was an octopus that was willing to explore. The
Yeah,
others continued to hide, to stay
yeah,
safe.
yeah. Yeah,
It,
you can see that at the end of the film, if I record well, that isn't it at the end they are with two octopuses, and then the eggs coming out, the bird giving birth to new ones, and then this one dies.
yeah, but
But isn't there
it's the
appearing a
male
second
that
one?
it's the male octopus.
Yeah, that appears at that time
Yeah,
to get those. Yeah, yeah, but that also catched me, as I thought, as you say, it's the only one willing to explore at a time during the film, but there are a lot more of them.
yeah,
So, and now going into the energy, it looks like, oh, but they were watching, they were present also, but didn't show up as
Mhm.
though, let me see here only through those eyes and whatever I can. Yeah,
Yeah. So who do we choose
yeah,
to be? Are we choosing to
exactly.
be part of the mass living our life on autopilot? Or are we willing to trust ourselves enough, our abilities enough to actually truly drop all our conclusions and go explore and take in, oh, what is this? What is that? And to really be present with it and take it in and experience it.
And also, are we willing to know that judgment isn't existing, that it is an invention,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
as do all the conclusions and projections,
yeah,
everything around? Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And can we let go also of the idea as a human being? We have a body and it looks like this. So that's the only way we can deal with it. As also that the octopus is showing, and I wasn't aware before because, yeah, before it was never shown
Yeah.
to us, but the way the octopus also goes with his body
Mm-hmm.
to let it, and it take other forms, but it isn't disformed. It still is that same octopus. It only allows to appear as as we
Yeah.
saw in the film, as sometimes it's pretending that it is a rock, sometimes it's enrolling in the
Yeah.
kelp, sometimes it's with the shells. It's so many forms it takes on, and even the structure of the
Blending in with the
skin,
seafloor and being,
it's
yeah.
amazing. And I heard Dane in Access Consciousness, I hear Dane speaking about these possibilities we have also with our bodies. I wouldn't say that it is that extremely, but that's not the case. Are we willing truly to let our bodies be whatever they require to be in every moment, even though that it change form
Mhm.
and structure?
Yeah.
Because when we don't make that significant, when we don't make it solid, what is truly possible there?
And what is not possible because of our expectations and conclusions and decisions.
Yeah,
Because we say, oh, yeah, this should be possible. I'm going to heal that. But it's not going to happen anyway.
yeah, yeah,
I mean, how much do we do that? And I notice this in myself,
yeah,
that I say, yeah, I hear you. I should be able to do that, but I don't believe you.
yeah. And that is also matching with that I'm choosing, but I'm not choosing.
Yeah,
I think I choose, but I'm not choosing because of all those underlying judgments
yeah,
and yeah, we have.
yeah.
And truly, do we truly trust ourselves? Do we really trust our knowing?
Do we truly trust the fact that we are an infinite being? And the question also is, what does that actually mean?
Yeah, yeah, so true. Because we can have an idea, but that's still an idea.
And even if that idea is possible, it's just one small part of the whole.
Yeah. What really is a contribution for me in exploring, because it's also an exploration for me to become more clear of what it truly is being
Mhm.
an infinite. being is really remembering myself as, yeah, but we are already infinite. We are already in communion with everything. And when I remember myself, when I'm stuck, and that opens immediately so much
Mhm.
more, which not is the same as really getting and living from the infinity. That's another thing still, because that's the exploration, but it brings more ease in to go with that exploration.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we stuck ourselves so many times also in going towards something as believing our judgment that we aren't one, where we know that we are one. We know that, but we are not willing to know that.
Mm-hmm.
And could it be that's something that's popping up now? Could it be that we aren't willing to know that because when we know that, then we be, and then there is no fight, and then there is no going against, and then we don't have to defend, and then we don't have to. Oh,
Yep.
could
Then,
that
in
be?
short, we don't fit into.
Yeah. Excuse me. As you see, and I didn't knew that before the film, as though an octopus is more or less 1 year of life it has,
Mm-hmm.
and then it dies to give another life. So going with that, the richness and fullness of life in that, in our point of view, the small amount of time of living with that same body, it is so amazing, because what octopus is willing to be in 1 year with the same body,
Mm-hmm.
we are far willing to be that in
In our lifetime?
100 years.
Yep.
Also, that was something like, wow,
Yeah.
we cut ourselves so much of the living energy.
I don't know who said it, but I read it very recently that we are probably the most stupid creation in the universe.
And I can
With
believe it.
all the choices that we make that go actually against
Yeah.
being the fullness, being the greatness, being, being it all that we are.
And consider that we are the most intelligent at the
Yeah, we're
same time.
thinking. But then, isn't it true? In Access, we say we try to prove something, that we are something that we already have decided that we're not.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
true.
we're trying to prove we are the smartest because we already have decided we're the
That we
stupidest.
are. Yeah. And that is what I'm saying is also, yeah, we know there is a knowing that we are one, but we believe that we aren't. So we have to
Yeah,
prove and go prove what we are decided. Yes. Yeah.
that we're separate. And that's the lie that we are continuously being
Yeah.
told. And it's the how much are we impacted by our belief that not only we're separate from nature, but we are only also separate from each other.
Yeah. Yeah. And that being separate from each other is so quickly, easily to adapt to, because you have a body, I have a body, and we live in a separate body. So
Yeah,
that's a separation.
yeah,
That's clear. We
yeah.
don't even
It's
think about it.
obvious.
Yeah. we even consider that there is more possible. And as my experience in the latest month is that our bodies becoming louder and louder and louder and louder and screaming, include us. But yeah, the separation is still going high.
Yeah.
It is. And it's not wrong and it is not right. What are we willing to choose here?
Yeah.
And is that body truly important as in importance, relevant it is, yeah, but important if we are infinite?
Yeah. If we are an infinite being, but without a body, can we experience the warmth of the sun?
No,
And
that's Karina, but we make that from the separation the importance, not willing to acknowledge the consciousness our body is.
oh, how could our body be conscious? I mean, it has disease, it knows lust, it does bad things.
Yeah, yeah, and that is the separation,
Yep.
isn't it? And that is from the importance, and that is from the separation, and that is from the judgment, and that is from the
Yep.
need to prove, that is from all those
Things that we talked about.
talked about.
Yeah.
Yeah, what are we not willing to acknowledge that we truly know? That we truly know. And that's all, isn't that also what's coming clear in that documentary? The willingness of the one who is filming and exploring to explore something different. Because if I remember well, person who goes into the water and explores and get this fabulous connection with the octopus, he was depressed and he had something like,
Burnout. Yeah.
where do I live for? What do I do? And he becomes also alive through that exploration with the octopus by receiving the presence.
Yeah.
The octopus is, yeah, yeah,
And the beauty that I see is that since he has a son, he is passing on his love for the environment
yeah,
to his son, who really dives, not just literally, but also figuratively, into this environment to learn about. And he becomes not only a marine biologist, but he also has the same reverence that
yeah,
he's learned from his father about the environment.
yeah. And the richness of that also, that the son, how much less judgment he grows up with.
That, and then, the filmmaker starting a dive club
Yeah,
where they
also,
go and explore the environment,
yeah.
become
And
protectors of the environment.
that is also something, Karina. How much are we willing to share the
Mhm.
richness, to share as though it is when I discover something or when I be with something and it's so expanding my life, it looks like I'm gonna own that. That's mine. So I don't share it with you. And I think I want to share it because I'm gonna talk about it, but it's not really sharing. And that is what he's showing also there, even though his son isn't coming in the front in the documentary, but that's what's happening. It's sharing from being, where the son has everything Yeah, the possibilities to receive and to be with it also. Yeah,
And that's a different kind of sharing. Because I remember, well, when I came across Access Consciousness, I was so, whoa, this is really giving you the tools and this is so great, da,
yeah,
da, 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 that there is, as a sudden, what I call that missionary seal of converting everybody else. You
yeah,
need to
yeah,
know,
yeah. But that's
and
coming
not
from,
inviting by being it.
yeah, yeah, that the invitation of being is so much more
Big.
vulnerable.
Yeah.
Is there are no walls, there are no judgment. It's only the invitation. It's the space of, yeah,
Mhm.
here it is.
You can
Welcome.
You can take it or you can leave it. It's your
Yeah.
choice.
And when it is, oh, I want to share it because I'm convinced of this and this and this and this is my experience that is going really bum 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 bum. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We all have done this, I believe. I
And
was.
because it just visually, it just came to me. If I translate that into the movie, it's as when the filmmaker encounters the octopus for the first time, instead of just reaching his hand out and allowing the octopus to explore him, he would be grabbing it and, yeah, you need to be here and that,
Yeah.
that, you know.
Yeah. That.
And
Yeah.
it just being the invitation. Okay, yeah, I'm here. I
Yeah.
mean no harm.
Yeah.
Whatever you
That's
choose to
beautiful
do.
said. Yeah. That's beautiful because that's it. That's the invitation the filmmaker is willing to explore, but also from the invitation for
Yeah,
exploration
yeah.
and being there, the invitation. Yeah, that's beautiful. That's a beautiful energy to wrap up our life, I believe. And yeah,
Yes,
what
yes.
will it be next week, Corina?
Um, I don't know. I mean, it'll be another movie,
It will be another movie.
and I'll let you know. There is a few that are floating through my head, and I'll let you know what those are, and then let's decide on one. So we have each one of us has time to watch it and
Yeah,
take a few
yeah.
notes, and
Do
so
you know, I saw passing by, but I didn't see it already. It is of David
Attenborough.
how, Attenborough. There is a new film coming out on Netflix, also The Colors of the Earth or something like that.
Color
But I
of
haven't
Life.
seen
I've seen
The
that
Color of
one.
the.
Uh, that's another possibility. That was not one that was floating through my head. Let me
It's
sit
because
with it.
I saw it passing by, but I didn't saw it already. So, but
Yeah.
yeah.
No, I'm sort of anything Attenborough grab.
And that is because I really love what he, and it's also that space of invitation.
Yeah.
As you know, this I explored this is what came true, what we became conscious of. Here it is.
Yep.
I invite you. You can come in, you can stay out, whatever it is, it's all the
Your
same.
choice. Yeah.
Yes. So thank you, Karina. It
Thank
was
you, Marianne.
I loved it again, and it's always a pleasure to explore with you.
Yeah, I love doing that. So, okay. Bye bye
Bye
until
bye.
next Tuesday.